Part 35. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 343. After dinner, I looked at the time. It was already past 7 o'clock and almost 8 o'clock. Neither Yushisai nor Nursery Rhyme had any intention of leaving. Nursery Rhyme went to prepare lessons. Yushisai thought that he was not serious about his work, so he went upstairs to work overtime with his computer. Then Han-Chien discovered a problem. The warm brain is really powerful. It can automatically filter out some annoying things so that she can't remember them. She is heartless all the time, sitting under the TV and fiddling with them. A game console, but still want to play? It didn't take long to see Nuan curling his fingers at her. Come on, let's play live football. If you win, I'll give you a reward. The reward you mentioned was to torture me. Didn't you take it into your heart that I just talked to you for a long time? As he said this, he walked to the TV in an honest manner, picked up the controller and selected the team, smiling warmly and naively. I'll have a headache tomorrow when I go to the company to do things tomorrow. You make a quick decision. Han-Chien thought that when Nuan didn't know how to play, so he randomly picked a child who was absent-minded and was beaten to death. Han-Chien didn't believe in the evil anymore and played seriously, but the result was still the same. This made Han-Chien a little doubtful about life. When Nuan play games? So powerful? Then I thought about it, and it seemed that apart from serious matters, she was very clear about other things. Suddenly he remembered the motorcycle. Han-Chien put down the game controller, tilted his head and said, "How is your car doing? Do your parents know?" Wen Nuan played the game with himself and said softly, "Old Wen knows, but your mother-in-law doesn't. I'm afraid she'll scold me for spending money indiscriminately. If she knew you bought it for me, she would probably scold me. I'm probably the worst rich second generation. I get scolded every day. Do you still want to play? If you don't want to play, I'll find nursery rhymes to play with." Han-Chien frowned. "Just play and you'll know how to play." Nuan immediately counterattacked. "Don't play games to catch those women around you. I didn't ask you where you spent the night last night. Do you think you are the boss and you have the final say at home? You can talk about work matters, but shut up about family matters. I'll wash the dishes." Han-Chien raised his hands in surrender. Wen Nuan had already given in. No matter what she did last night, she was always at home. Han-Chien was the one who stayed out all night. When Han-Chien went to wash the dishes, Wen and nursery rhymes came from the living room. Laughter. Han-Chien sighed softly. Now he felt that there was a lot of chaos around him and he didn't know how to deal with it. Han-Chien also felt a little self-defeating. The car had its own way to the mountain, and the boat had its own way to the bridge. In short, now Han-Chien knew that he couldn't break through the last line of defense. After washing the dishes and tidying up the kitchen, when I returned to the living room, I found that Yushisai had also come down. She had no interest in games and was half lying on the sofa in her nightgown. Happy together. When she saw Han-Chien coming out, she pulled the blanket over her legs and whispered, "Han-Chien, someone named Li Dongsheng sent me a text message just now, saying he was your colleague. What's going on? I'm not familiar with him." Han-Chien started wiping the floor with two rags in his hand, and began to wonder in his heart, what does this Li Dongsheng want to do? Lost your mind? Nursery Rhyme, who was playing a game, whispered softly. "This Li Dongsheng is the guy I mentioned at the resort dinner table last time. He had an affair with Han-Chien. He seems to be the son of a shareholder. He is interested in you." Yushisai lay on the sofa and crossed her legs, holding her cell phone in both hands and smiling evilly. "Do you have any conflicts with Han-Chien? Then I'll tease him." Han-Chien turned his head and frowned. "Don't be idle, Be careful you stumble and throw yourself into it. Yu Shisai replied with a smile and narrowed his eyes. Brother Qian is worried about me. Han Qian frowned, turned around and continued to wipe the floor, while Yu Shisai continued to ask. Brother Qian, if you are worried about me, I won't tease him. Isn't this just to help you vent your anger? Right. Han Qian still didn't speak. Nuan, who was playing the game, turned to look at Yu Shisai and said angrily. Can you please stop calling me Brother Qian? You are so arrogant that people who don't know may think you are his ex-wife. If you want to tease Li Dongsheng, you can do it. Don't involve my ex-husband. Yu Shisai's fingers quickly moved across the phone, and she spoke eloquently. Tisk tisk tisk, ex-husband, you might as well just call me husband and forget it. You two live together anyway. Nursery rhyme controls the characters in the game and speaks calmly. You are so sour. Yu Shisai snorted arrogantly and continued to fiddle with the phone. It was too easy for Yu Shisai to tease Li Dongsheng. Women have an advantage over men at certain times. Yu Shisai, who was sitting on the sofa, did not forget when teasing Li Dongsheng. Give a review. Blindly confident, likes to brag, and is a self-righteous mama's boy. Han Qian didn't have time to talk to Yu Shisai and just said don't go too far. Yu Shisai hummed absent-mindedly and didn't take Han Qian's words to heart. Han Qian wasn't worried that Yu Shisai would be seduced by Li Dongsheng. A goblin. His heart is no better than that of the devil from the underworld. At 11 o'clock in the evening, Nuan was hungry and wanted to order takeout, eat duck food, and drink beer. Yu Shisai agreed, while Tong Yao weakly objected. Then Nuan was thrown back to the room on the shoulder by Han Qiankang, who rushed down from the second floor. When Nuan chose to resist aggressively, and during the struggle, his little butt was slapped. The strength is not light. When Nuan tilted his head and looked at Han Qian with a look of disbelief on his face. You dare to hit me? Han Qian didn't speak, and then when Nuan pounced on Han Qian again. This time Han Qian gave her a clear answer and slapped her again. Wen blushed and covered her butt with both hands and gritted her teeth and glared at Han Qian. Han Qian didn't even take a step. Retreat, said indifferently. You just finished drinking last night. You can't drink any more today. We'll talk about it in 2 days. Wen Nuan gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice. Han Qian. You are restricting my freedom in life, and I have the right to sue you. I'll spank you if you don't stop. As soon as he finished speaking, Nuan ran back to the bed like a rabbit, covered himself with a quilt and cursed Han Qian with a red face, a hooligan and a pervert. Han Qian whispered softly on his pillow at the door. Don't think about eating takeout secretly in the middle of the night. If I find out, just eat takeout for a month. After saying that, Han Qian left the room. When Nuan hid under the quilt and rubbed his butt. Well, it didn't hurt, it was quite comfortable. The moment this thought appeared in his mind, when Nuan pulled the quilt over his head. His face felt good. Red, my heartbeat is so fast. It was rare that Han Qian took the initiative. Then when Nuan got angry. My sister is also a first-class beauty, but you are so unwilling to touch me? Very angry. When Han Qian went downstairs to urge Yu Shisai and nursery rhymes, Yu Shisai raised her butt and said softly. Brother Qian, I also want to eat takeout. Snapped. Tong Yao slapped Yu Shisai on the butt, grabbed Yu Shisai's neck and dragged her back to the room, talking as she walked. He'll hit you with a slap, and he might use a mace to hit you. Just be careful. What stick? Sister, can your mind be clearer? Teacher Tong, I didn't say anything. Han Qian looked at the two women who entered the room with a dark look on his face. Are all women today such gangsters? Times have changed. I have only been isolated from the world for 3 years. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 344. Late at night, Han Qian felt the door of his room being pushed open. The incident of being kissed suddenly appeared in Han Qian's mind. Han Qian suddenly stood up and whispered. Who? I. Child monster. I kill you. During the conversation in a low voice, Tong Yao walked into Han Qian's room, closed the door and took off his shoes and sat on the tatami. Tong Yao sighed softly, and Han Qian's hair stood up. If it was Yushasai, Han Qian was worried. Cai Kinghu's words worry about her own chastity, but what is sitting here now is a nursery rhyme. Han Qian was worried about his own life. He grabbed the quilt with both hands and said tremblingly. Tong Tong Tong, what are you doing here? Tanjeo turned her head and smiled at Han Qian. Han Qian was ready to escape. Tanjeo lowered his head and spoke softly. Han Qian, I may have to trouble you again. I feel that I am a scourge and always bring bad luck to people. I stayed here last night. Warmth and poetry were scolded. After getting to know you, you were shot. I still want to trouble you now. Since something happened, Han Qian stopped worrying and sat up and breathed a sigh of relief. As long as you don't want my life, anything is fine. Tong Yao turned around, glared at Han Qian, smiled, and cursed. Hate, am I that terrible? Last time I took some money from you and I haven't paid it back yet. I feel uncomfortable all the time, but... How much do you need? I have about 70,000 in the card now. I will give the card to you tomorrow morning and you can get it. If it is not enough, I will go to Yan Qingqing to get some for you. Han Qian has already guessed Tong Yao's difficulty. What she lacks most now is money, which happens to be what other women lack the most. Moreover, Tong Yao's mind is very simple and she also cares about face. She will not speak to Nuan Nuan. They made friends, Nuan Nuan gave her gifts, and she cooked for Nuan Nuan. This was mutual, but once money was involved, Nuan Nuan might not hesitate, but Tong Yao would feel that she was a head shorter than them. Originally, there was a big gap between the rich and the poor between the two, and Tanjeo was very unwilling to let the stench of money be mixed into their friendship, so she could only go to Han Qian because she didn't care what Han Qian thought of her. Nursery rhyme sighed again and said softly. My brother came home during the vacation from college to help my dad harvest the autumn harvest. He was young and inexperienced. He rolled over while driving a tractor and broke a leg and an arm. The family can afford the money, and the rural cooperative medical system will reimburse half of it. But his face was burned, the cornea of his eye was damaged and needed to be replaced, and a large area of his left face was burned. The voice of the nursery rhyme was very low, as if he had exhausted all his strength. Han Qian leaned against the wall and whispered. The rollover ignited the flowing oil. Tong Yao lowered her head and covered her face with her hands, choking softly. I don't know. It happened half a month ago. They kept it secret from me and didn't tell me. My dad said that it's not easy for me outside. If a boy is disfigured, he will be disfigured. Just wear a mask when you go out to work. You can't. Because my son cheated on my daughter, I told them that they could borrow money first, and I could go on a blind date and pay back the money after taking the bride price. My brother refused, saying that he would never use my bride price to treat his illness even if he died. At this moment, Han Qian thought of Ji Jing. They were both parents, a daughter and a son. Why was there such a big gap in treatment? Ji Jing's parents could buy a car and a house for their son so that Ji Jing could get married, but Tong Yao's parents and younger brother would rather not seek medical treatment than let Tong Yao suffer the injustice. Han Qian sighed softly and said quickly after hearing the nursery rhyme. Han Qian, you don't have to be embarrassed. I just don't have anyone to tell my true feelings. I can apply for a credit card and borrow loan sharks. I can do it. As she spoke, tears came down again. She was only a girl in her mid-twenties. Han Qian smiled and chuckled softly. Going to Guandagu to borrow usury again? Not to mention how much the interest is, he doesn't dare to lend you now. If you don't repay the loan, he has nothing to do. You can't say that he will arrest my friend Han Qian and beat him up. If there is a suitable cornea, it seems not expensive. 20 to 30,000 is enough. The premise is that you can find a suitable cornea. If you buy it, it may cost a little more. As for facial skin transplantation, I don't know much about it. I won't give you 70,000 to 80,000 yuan. I'll give you a round number. If it's not enough, you can ask me to get it, okay? Han Qian will get this money no matter from any angle. Tong Yao is still young, has a wonderful life that belongs to him, and is close to him. Later, Han Qian has experienced this feeling of powerlessness. When he met Wen Nuan, he was like God. Help, why can't that nursery rhyme enjoy such help for once? And it's not that he doesn't have money in his hand now. He has money, and he doesn't need to leave it there, and it won't earn interest. He might as well use it to help nursery rhymes. As for when to pay it back, Han Qian has never thought about it. It's a difficult time for everyone. Get 100,000. After hearing the nursery rhyme, she waved her hands in rejection. No, no, it's too much and I can't afford to pay it back. Just lend me 50,000, and I'll give you an IOU with interest. Han Qian smiled and shook his head. Don't be stupid. What kind of IOU are you writing? It's probably useless even if you go back. Why don't you give your parents 50,000 yuan first, and then pay 20,000 yuan every other day or two? Then when you call, you should be more relaxed. No matter whether the old man and his brother need the money or not, they will feel at ease after paying 20,000, knowing that you don't have money in hand. As for how to lie, you can figure it out yourself. Anyway, you can have glory and enjoyment at any time. You can take photos, so that the old man won't worry about you when he's worried about his brother, right? But I don't rush to return this money to me. I have nowhere to use it. It's easier for me to make money than it is for you to make money. It's really not possible for my brother to have a smooth or glorious job after graduation. It will be deducted from his salary. It will only take 1 or 2 years. I will give it to him. I'll give you the card. You can withdraw 70,000 yuan first. I'll have someone send you 30,000 yuan in cash before noon tomorrow. Don't thank me and don't cry. I'm investing. Is your brother graduating soon? Even though she said she wouldn't cry, Tong Yao's tears still fell down. She nodded vigorously and whispered. You can go to internship in half a year, Han Qian. I don't know how to thank you. Then just pledge yourself to me. Hate. Tears turn into laughter. The room became quiet, and the atmosphere gradually became awkward. How could it not be awkward for a man and a woman to be alone in the same room late at night? Tong Yao stood up and was about to leave the room, when there was a sudden knock on the door. Han Qian, are you sleeping? I'm coming in. You poetry. Tong Yao panicked on the spot, then opened the closet and got in. When she closed the closet door, Yu Shisai also opened the door, closed the door quietly, walked to the tatami bed, squatted on the ground with his chin in his hands and watched Han Qian was already lying down. The distance between the two faces is very close. After half a minute, Yu Shisai reached out and pinched Han Qian's nose, laughing softly. Don't pretend to be asleep. I see your hands are shaking. Are you so afraid of me? My hands are sleepwalking. Han Qian regretted what he said. If he hadn't said anything, Yu Shisai might have gotten tired of playing by himself after a while. After saying the words, it was over. Sure enough, after hearing Han Qian's words, Yu Shisai got up and sat cross-legged on Han Qian's bed. Around Sexy panties can be seen from the hem of the nightgown, but Han Qian turned around and faced the wall. Yu Shisai was furious when he saw this. He grabbed Han Qian's shoulders and forced him over his body, making him face the roof. Yu Shisai pressed Han Qian's shoulders with his hands, leaned over and looked at Han Qian face to face, and whispered. Are you hiding from me? No. Now Han Qian is really scared. The nursery rhyme is hidden in the closet. What is this mixed-race girl going to do? Han Qian swallowed hard, his voice was clear, and Yu Shisai squinted his eyes and whispered softly. Brother Qian, brother. Be normal. You were caught by the warmth and nursery rhymes in the middle of the night. By the way, didn't you see the nursery rhymes when you got up? I didn't sleep well, and she went to sleep with Nuanuan. If I was worried about being caught, would I still show up at the resort? As soon as the words came out, cold sweat appeared on Han Qian's face, and he hurriedly whispered. Shut the hell up, what will you do if nursery rhymes and warmth hear you? Yu Shisai opened her eyes and nodded quickly. Yes, yes, you can't make it public, you can't make it public, but people miss you and even gave them a car. Han Qian gritted his teeth and said. I don't want you to occupy the warm car. Xiao Hong is a gift for her adult birthday. She is sentimental. Giving you the car is an accident. No, you were not happy when I told you to tease Li Dongsheng tonight. Are you jealous? I drank too much soy sauce, it's salty. Come downstairs quickly. If you are caught, you are fine. I will definitely die. Yu Shisai shook her head, then leaned down and kissed Han Qian's face. Trojan horse. Han Qian was really panicked. Then Yu Shisai lifted Han Qian's quilt and looked down, wondering. Why didn't you respond? Reaction. I'm afraid now that two big Russian girls are placed in front of Han Qian, the one without clothes will not react. There is a monster hidden in the closet, and Xiao Nuanuan is right opposite. He is nervous and scared now, with hormones and dopamine is not secreted at all, but cold sweat flows very quickly. Han Qian gritted his teeth and whispered. Stop making trouble and go back to your room quickly. Yu Shisai shook his head and said stubbornly. No. What are you doing? It's midnight, and I have something to do tomorrow. Can you please stop making trouble? You're making me anxious again. You spank me. Yu Shisai. Don't call me by my name, call me Cece. When will you give me a child? I won't bother you when I'm pregnant. I'll take the child abroad. When did I promise you? Then I'll do it myself. Yu Shisai. Han Qian, do you have no memory? Sister, I beg you, please stop making trouble, okay? I'm very tired. Yu Shisai let go of his hand, knelt down next to Han Qian, arranged his long golden hair and whispered softly. I'm not old, I'm only 1 year older than you. Younger sister. Han Qian was really about to cry, and Yu Shisai was reluctant to give up. I'm not your sister. We have no family relationship. Call me baby. Han Qian gritted his teeth and said. We have no love. Yu Shisai nodded seriously. Yes, there is no love, but there is adultery. Just tell me whether you want to scream or not. 3.2. Baby. Kiss me. Don't push yourself too far. Then I'll kiss you. As he spoke, Yu Shisai was about to pull out Han Qian's pants. Han Qian grabbed the waistband of his pants with both hands and kissed Yu Shisai on the face with gritted teeth. Yu Shisai was instantly satisfied, covered his face with his hands, got out of bed, put on his shoes and trotted out of the room. She left. Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief. He has never been afraid of anyone in his life. Now Yu Shisai really scares him. She is also the only woman among so many women who dares to forcefully push Han Qian away. The main reason is that she will not fall in love with you and just do things directly. Who the hell? Not afraid? When Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief, the closet door was pushed open. Han Qian closed his eyes instantly. There was another one. He sat up and smiled dryly at nursery rhyme. Teacher Tong, you misunderstood. Tong Yao narrowed her eyes and said coldly. Misunderstanding, misunderstanding, my ex-wife's best friend is very sweet, right? Han Qian, it turns out that a dog can't change its habit of eating shit. Goodbye. Farewell. Tong Yao gritted his teeth and left the room. Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief once again. When he was about to go to bed, the door was pushed open again. Han Qian was immediately frightened and cowered in the corner. Tong Yao stood at the door and whispered angrily. Give me the card. The blue one in the drawer of the coffee table on the first floor. Scumbag. Damn scumbag. You can be a virgin for the rest of your life. What's your password? 549527. I really want to crush you scumbag to death for Nuan Nuan. Seeing Tong Yao's hands change from claws to fists, Han Qian was no longer sleepy at all. He grabbed the quilt with both hands and looked at the door. He wiped his eyes in grievance. Who did he provoke? I feel so wronged. Early the next morning, when Han Qian got up, the three women at home were gone. Han Qian took a deep breath and was about to wash up when the old man called. Little bastard, someone from the village wants to build a house for our family. What's going on? I don't know, old man. Do they want money? No money. They said I have a promising son and they want to treat your mother and me to the countryside for dinner at noon. Do I have other sons? Then you have to ask yourself if you had any romantic debts when you were young. You are my father and I am your son. I can't witness your growth, hey. Old man, I regard you as my biological father. Just tell me. I also have a half-brother? Heh, son, eat less, don't get fat. With these words again, Han Qian was so angry that he gritted his teeth and whispered. What? What are you going to do? The deposit for the coffin has been paid. Han Qian hung up the phone directly, threw away the phone, and held his hair with both hands. Why can't you keep your mouth shut? Are you going to go home during the Chinese New Year and be killed by the old man? On the other side, the old man looked at the mobile phone in his hand, raised his head and smiled naively at the village government office. My little brat has caused you trouble. Can I treat you to lunch? Everyone in the village quickly refused. No. Uncle Han, please don't be polite. We are all family members. We should treat you and our aunt to dinner. The house is being demolished today. How about we go to the countryside to stay for a few days? The old man didn't speak, but turned to look at his wife. Qian's mother looked at the yard with a troubled expression and said softly. The chickens and mushrooms are all reserved for Xiaonuan. This is going to build a house. Will Xiaonuan come back during the new year? At the gate of the township government office, a middle-aged man with a big belly in a suit came quickly. Auntie, don't worry, 1 month, no, half a month. This house will definitely be built, and Mr. Wen will definitely be able to eat chicken stewed with mushrooms when he comes back. Auntie, you will do the same. Why didn't you tell Mr. Wen earlier? Your daughter-in-law. Qian's mother turned around and said doubtfully. You didn't even ask. Do you know Xianyuan? The people at the gate of the township government office were speechless. They wanted to get to know each other, but they had to be willing to get to know them, Qian's mother said later. Did Han Qian call you? Why are you suddenly building a house? The steward at the gate of the township government office smiled flatteringly. No, our brother didn't call. It was the permanent secretary, uncle. Auntie. Let's get in the car and talk. Qian's mother and the old man walked side by side, and the old man frowned in a low voice. Since when did Xiaozi become so easy to talk to? I begged him when you were in the hospital, but he didn't even look at me when he knelt down. How could he be so flattering like a eunuch? Chienna's mother frowned and hit the old man with her elbow, and drank in a low voice. Don't talk nonsense. What did you say when you called our son? He said he didn't know. Unexpected tone. Very bland. Then he's right. After saying that, Chien's mother turned her head and asked. Director Xia, who is this permanent secretary? We old couple have to thank you no matter what. Xiaozi trotted over and said flatteringly. The permanent secretary is Mayor Cheng's secretary. We don't know much about this. How about you make a call? Let's fight when we get to the countryside. I have to thank them well, and I also have to thank you, Director Xia. After the convoy from the countryside left, the gossips from the neighbors got together and started gossiping. In the end, they all agreed that something happened to the old Han family. The old couple was taken away and the house was demolished. Are you pretending to be noble? It's been more than a year and I haven't seen your son come back. Hey? Do you think the son of the old Han family was beaten to death outside? Don't you believe me anymore? It's possible. Over the past year, a few of that kid's friends have come to farm for old Han. He even said that his son has passed the college entrance examination. Is that all? But don't tell me, Han Qian's little brothers are really interesting. I heard that Han Qian hasn't contacted them for 2 or 3 years. He comes over to help every year during farming and harvesting. I think he died outside. He should have died a long time ago. Look at his mother's noble spirit. When she was seriously ill, she said she couldn't survive. This is like exchanging her son's life for her. Didn't I come back once and bring a pretty and outrageous woman with me? It seems to me that she was hired with money. Look at how flattering old Han is. Okay, you old ladies, stop chattering. Why does this person have anything to do with you? You didn't borrow money back then and you still ridiculed them, one by one. Maybe it's just one chapter today, why don't you guys come into the group and scold me? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Huan. Chapter 345. Wu Siquan once said that this is a world that laughs at the poor but not at prostitution. This sentence is absolutely correct. When the old man sold his family house, the house in the countryside was worthless. He planned to sell it for 20,000 yuan. He thought it was all worth it. Dear fellow villagers, at this critical juncture, we cannot take advantage of the situation. As a result, the old man was disappointed. In the end, he only had 15,000 yuan in hand, and he had been a neighbor for many years. His attitude was that if it weren't for your wife's illness, we wouldn't want this house. The old man didn't care about them, nor did he tell Han Qian these things. When they arrived at the gate of the township government office, Qian's mother called Han Qian. At this moment, Han Qian was fishing with Wei Tiancheng. I don't know where Wei Tiancheng's ribs were wrong. Han Qian was wearing a military green coat. He really didn't know how to fish. After receiving a call from his mother, Han Qian handed the fishing rod to the 2 assistants brought by Wei Tiancheng and answered the phone. Mom. Xiao Qian, Mom is in the countryside. I heard the leaders in the village talking about the permanent secretary building a house for our family. Why did this permanent secretary build a house for our family? Do you know him? So, we know each other. Mom, don't ask. Why don't you build a house for our family for free? Mom, give your phone to the people in the village and I'll talk to them about the house. Han Qian didn't want his mother to know what he was doing in the city. Qian's mother on the other side of the phone turned on the phone and handed it to Xiaozi at the door of the township government office. She wanted to hear what Han Qian had to say. Director Xia wanted to when she was about to go out to answer the phone. Qian's mother raised her head and smiled, indicating that she should answer it here. She also wanted to test the meaning of the township government office door. Xia Zi lowered her head and whispered into the phone. Brother Han, I am Xia Zi. Han Qian frowned, took a deep breath, and smiled. Hello, Director Xia. When I was young, I often got into trouble in the countryside because of my ignorance. Why did you suddenly say that you want to build a house for my family? With my mother's personality, how can I not listen next to her? The most unacceptable thing for her was to be confused and kept in the dark. Mom. From what your son knows about you, you are either listening with the headset on, or you are listening with the hands-free turned on, and your mother will not do such a thing while listening to the phone. But you have a good plan, and you have a ladder. Director Xia couldn't help but raise his head and glance at Qian's mother. Are the mother and son fighting for their wits here? With parents like this, why worry about their children not becoming smarter? Looking at Qian's mother's confused expression, Xia Zi chuckled. The higher UPS have issued notices on dilapidated housing and assistance to poor households. I saw the situation at Brother Han's house when I was doing a census of the public these days. Oh, that's right. Thank you very much, Director. My son has no filial piety. I feel ashamed when I mention our house. If Director Xia has any needs, feel free to mention them, but you have to stay away from my parents. He said that they are all rural people and don't understand these things. Qian's mother smiled after listening to Han Qian's words, squinted at the mobile phone in front of Xia Zi, and murmured in a low voice. Hey, old Han, did you hear what your son said? The old man nodded, and then lowered his head. Now Xia Zi wanted to get up. Qian's mother smiled and waved to him, indicating that there was no need to go out and said, and made a gesture to ask Xia Zi to cooperate with her acting. Lao Xia said it's hard for someone to embarrass someone who can alert the permanent secretary and call him to warn him, but he can't offend him, right? I could only bite the bullet, take a few symbolic steps, and whisper. Brother Han, tell me, I'm coming out. Hearing that Xia Zi had gone out, Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief and asked softly. My parents aren't here, are they? Without. Then I can rest assured. Director Xia, you are a smart person. There are some things you can let my mother know and some things you cannot let them know. You have to worry about building a house at home. In addition, I heard that my parents' medical insurance has been paid. Right. Xia Zi nodded bravely and whispered. Handled in. Did it come from the permanent secretary or Cai King Hu? It's prosecutor Cai. Just hand it over. You know what's going on in my family. My wife is indeed warm, but there are some things that I can't explain clearly. I don't have any requirements. The house will be built according to the city's buildings. My parents are misophobic. Septic tanks and other things can also be built in rural areas, right? You know this better than me. In addition, you need to do some floor heating at home. The earthen Kong should be installed normally, and the floor heating should be installed on the Kong. Do you understand this? Xia Zi took a deep breath and frowned. The floor heating is fine, but what about the boiler? What kind of boiler or electricity? This thing may not be cheap, but you just fool my parents and say it's not much money and they don't understand. Then you take the electricity to the Township Power Supply Bureau and I'll give it to you on a yearly basis settlement. This, Brother Han, this, I'm worried that the higher-ups will investigate me. Check. Who is checking you? I'll call the permanent secretary in a moment. In addition, you also help to buy some household appliances. Well, we don't need any appliances. When Nuan asked her to buy them. Remember. If my parents ask you, Just say it's because our family is pitiful. Don't expose me. Do you hear me? If you reveal your secret, I will trouble you when I get home. Oh, by the way. The prosecutor CAIU said went to my house to celebrate the new year. You can see for yourself, let's do it. Just tell my mother that I'm busy, and don't tell her anymore, bye. After saying that, Han Qian hung up the phone. Xia Zi looked at the hung up phone, raised her head and looked at Qian's mother pitifully, and said sadly. Auntie, you heard it all, this has nothing to do with me at all. Xia Zi was only 2 or 3 years younger than the old man. She was shouting one after another, feeling aggrieved like a child weighing more than 200 pounds. Qian's mother took a deep breath and smiled at Xia Zi. Excuse me, Director Xia. Just do what the child said. When he comes back, I will definitely take him to compensate you. I have been away for a few years and I don't know how much I weigh. Don't say anything to me in my heart. I would like to trouble the people in the village to go back and forth today, and let your uncle and I treat you to this meal. This can be regarded as an apology to Han Qian, the traitor, and it can also be regarded as our gratitude to the Yeomanman. The words were beautiful. No matter how arrogant their son was, his parents still acted like inferiors, giving Xia Zi a lot of face. Xia Zi smiled bitterly and nodded. Qian's mother said again. Director Xia, the inspector Cai you are talking about is Cai King Hu. The water glass in Director Xia's hand trembled, and then he nodded vigorously. Qian's mother turned to look at the old man and whispered. The little girl who called us mom last time. The old man nodded with an unkind expression. Qian's mother suddenly laughed. She raised her head and covered her mouth with laughter. The old man frowned at this. Are you still laughing? Look at what your son is doing. Qian's mother curled her lips and retorted. If you don't have the ability, why don't you let my son have the ability? How dare I have this ability? My son does. Ding Yan, have you watched too many TV series? He depends on you in everything. You can't tolerate him doing this kind of thing. Qian's mother curled her lips and smiled, not taking the old man's words to heart at all. Seeing this, the old man sighed helplessly. Ding Yan's way of educating his children was different from that of the people in the village. It was in this way that Han Qian was educated. This little evil. When Xia Zi looked at the old couple in confusion, his cell phone rang. When he saw the number on it, Xia Zi immediately stood up, stopped his back, and said respectfully. Permanent Secretary. Xia Zi, what's the matter with you? I've told you many times that Han Qian's parents can't get any clues about this matter, and Han Qian, the little bastard, also said that his mother is a woman with both IQ and EQ, a very tall woman. Han Qian just called me and had a big argument with me. Why are you talking so much nonsense about a power supply issue? If you, the director, can do it, just do it. If you can't do it, write a resignation report and I will approve it. Xia Zi was so frightened that her legs went weak. At this moment, a voice that he had only heard on TV came over the phone. Xiao Chang. It's obvious that you didn't do a good job. Why are you blaming others? Han Qian, this little bastard, is just fooling you. There are a lot of vacancies in the city this year. We need to mobilize talents from local places. That little bastard, where is the egg now? You seem to be fishing with Wei Tiancheng. You little bastard is freezing to death. Prepare some gifts during the Chinese New Year and go visit Han Qian's parents. Han Qian has helped us a lot. Okay, this matter. When he said this, the permanent secretary had already hung up the phone. Xia Zi stood there blankly, feeling very happy. He didn't expect to be transferred to the city, but if the person above him was transferred, he would have the opportunity to work in the city. Previous. Thinking of this, he immediately turned around and bent down to Qian's mother. Auntie, I'll treat you to this meal. Han Qian still doesn't know that what awaits him may be a mixed doubles match. You're fooling the old man, my mother doesn't care about you, you say I don't understand anything? Ah. Xiao Qian, in the past 25 years, have you ever succeeded in playing tricks with your mother? After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 346. Wei Tiancheng looked at the motionless float on the lake and chuckled softly. Why are you so angry? Isn't it just to build a house at home? I'll send a construction team over. It can be done in half a month. Han Qian had given up fishing. He lay on his side on the blanket wrapped in a cotton jacket and curled his lips. My mother still doesn't know how big of a monster I am in the city, and I don't want her to get involved. I have so many enemies, so let's forget it. Her brain is better than mine. She will play tricks on me in this life. I haven't won. If I hadn't married my honest father, I guess I might have been a rich second generation. After finishing his words, he wiped his nose with his sleeve. He was a typical street gangster, looking at Wei Tiancheng on the other side. He wore windbreakers, gloves, eye masks, and two beautiful female assistants with peach blossoms in their eyes. You really can't fake temperament. Wei Tiancheng put down his fishing rod, stretched, turned his head and smiled at Han Qian. Want to drink something hot? Han Qian stood up and said angrily. You should have been like this a long time ago. Do I know you're going to freeze me to death? You told me earlier, let's go. Han Qian and Wei Tiancheng returned to the wooden house, and Miao Miao came over after a while, holding a pot of hot tea in her hand. Watching Han Qian tremblingly holding the teacup, Miao Miao covered her mouth and smiled sweetly. Master Han, what's wrong with you? I'm not cold even if I wear so little. Han Qian squinted at Miao Miao and curled his lips. Director Wei makes your heart burn. You must not be cold. Isn't my heart just trying to cool down the cold? I can't compare. I can't compare. Miao Miao smiled and sat next to Han Qian, pretending to be distressed and said pitifully. Hurry up and let sister warm you up. You rub my bald skin and I'm not warm, right? I suspect you two are feeding me dog food, but I have no proof. After saying this, Han Qian put down his teacup, crossed his legs and smiled at Wei Tiancheng. Wei Dong is really not interested in the land in Dongcheng? There are just the three of us here, don't we have nothing to worry about? Wei Tiancheng shrugged, and Han Qian continued with a smile. There are many spearheads pointing at you outside, Director Wei. We met last time when Feng Lun came back. He said some things, but I think Director Wei should be innocent. But you are not moving now, and I am also very panicked. Wei Tiancheng smiled while holding the cup. Move. Now I just want to find a good family for my daughter to marry. I can't spend all the money I make in my life. I have no interest in money anymore. It's just some numbers. There are too many joys in life. Such as fishing and drinking tea with Mr. Han. Han Qian curled his lips at Wei Tiancheng. Can you stop pretending to be so noble? Has Feng Haida's death been found out? There is one thing I don't understand. Those tailors are willing to let this wedding dress be worn on me. Wei Tiancheng said lightly. What can I do if I don't want to give in? Director Wei is also willing. I wish I had replaced you that night. You are older and not afraid of death. Feng Lun told me that you gave him the gun. Oh. Oh again, Han Qian leaned back, pointed at Wei Tiancheng and said angrily. Oh. You look like a scumbag who cheats money and feelings. Huh? Young Master Han is talking about himself, right? Wei Tiancheng smiled and fought back. Han Qian had no temper at all when he was retorted. Wei Tiancheng's reaction did not look like someone related to Feng Lun. Could it be that Feng Lun had deceived him? Why is everyone treating him like a fool? In fact, it was not the case. It was Han Qian who was smart. Everyone threw smoke bombs and flash thunder at him. Han Qian sighed, lowered his head and muttered softly. I'm so damn naive. Feng Lun always lied to me, and I still fell for it. After saying this, Wei Tiancheng smiled. I did meet with Feng Lun before the incident. He told me about this plan and I agreed. He defrauded me of 2 million. I was also deceived. I didn't get even a cent in the end. You are so slutty, hey. Let's not talk about this anymore. Let me tell you something. This is also the purpose of asking you today. Lin Mend asked me to invite you to attend his birthday. The invitation is at Mia Miao's place. Ah. Han Qian smiled. There are 3 humming pictures. Didn't you Lin Mend tell me clearly that there is something fishy about you, Han Qian? But even so, Han Qian must go, because there are many people he cares about who will go. Han Qian sighed, raised his head and looked at Wei Tiancheng and said resentfully. I won't marry your daughter, so you join forces with Lin Men to harm me? Wei Tiancheng, are you a little petty? Huh? You are right. How is my daughter any worse than the woman next to you? I sent the invitation, you can do it yourself. Han Qian looked at the invitation on the table and smiled without taking it. At this time, there was a knock on the door of the wooden house. 3 seconds later, the door was pushed open. Ji Jing's pretty face appeared in Han Qian's sight. Han Qian's expression immediately changed, and he picked up the teacup and threw it at Wei Tiancheng. The latter tilted his head to avoid it and smiled at Han Qian. I can't help it. Mr. Lin is begging me like this. After all, we have some friendship, but this friendship ends here. How about I go with you and stand behind you during the dinner? Ji Jing still didn't know what happened, but Han Qian stood there frowning and said in a deep voice. Should I thank you for reminding me? Wei Tiancheng curled his lips and smiled. You make sense. Change the place and play billiards, okay. 1 ball and 10,000. I'm afraid of you. Just write an IOU. Wei Tiancheng tilted his head and looked at Han Qian. Miao Miao was holding her stomach and laughing so hard that she couldn't stand up. It had been a long time since she had seen her beloved man deflated. After leaving this unknown place, Han Qian grabbed Ji Jing's hand with strong force, stuffed Ji Jing into the passenger seat of the Maserati with a gloomy face, and after getting in the car, he turned his head and roared at Ji Jing. Can you be smarter? Can you think about yourself in your head? Come when they call and ask you to come. Now they don't dare to provoke me. If a madman calls you and asks you to come out to find me, are you coming out too? What if you are beaten or kidnapped? Do you have no brain? Huh? Han Qian was suppressing anger in his heart. This was already pleasant to hear. He wanted to scold Ji Jing now. If Wei Tiancheng wanted to touch Han Qian today, Ji Jing would become a bargaining chip for Han Qian to catch him. Han Qian's chest rose and fell. He was holding the steering wheel, and the veins on his forehead had popped out. Ji Jing lowered her head and whispered. He said you didn't bring your coat, and I was thinking. What are you thinking about? Send me a coat? What's wrong with me? I'm more important than your life? Why are you living with nursery rhymes now? You skipped work just to give me a coat? Aunt G. Can't you think about yourself first, and then you think about me? I am Han Qian, and you are Ji Jing. We have no blood relationship. My death will have no negative impact on you. Something happened to you, son. I have been living in condemnation my whole life. That's good. After saying these words, Han Qian was like a balloon that had been punctured. He closed his eyes and took a deep breath. He turned his head and looked at Ji Jing, who had her head lowered. Han Qian reached out and flicked Ji Jing's head. His head was broken, he said softly. Remember, in the future, As long as someone you don't trust asks you out, you can't go out, including your parents. One day you will piss me off, Aunt G. Ji Jing raised her head, looked at Han Qian doubtfully, tilted her head and said, "What's the matter?" At this moment, Han Qian's mind went blank. She had been talking for a long time and she didn't listen? When Han Qian was so angry that he didn't know what was wrong, Ji Jing picked up her phone and whispered to Han Qian. "I found a pool hall with a nice atmosphere. I don't want to play billiards now. I want to play you. Don't go out except for calls from strangers asking you to go out." Oh. Han Qian was so angry that he couldn't find where the Maserati's start button was, and he felt furious in his heart. "Wei Tiancheng, you are humming awesome, you are so awesome." After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 347. Time has taught Han Qian that the most irritating thing is not warmth, and the most obedient person is not Ji Jing. After getting out of the car, Ji Jing went to buy a pack of cigarettes for Han Qian. She trotted all the way in high heels on a cold day, which made Han Qian's heart skip a beat. With a splash, she opened the cigarette, took out one, put it in her mouth, lit it and handed it to Han Qian. "It's over." The whole journey was in vain. When Wei Tiancheng and Miao Miao arrived, the four of them walked into the billiard hall together. Miao Miao ran over and asked if they could reserve the table. The boss was a little embarrassed. After long discussion, he could only reserve the first floor, not the second and third floors. "And there are guests." Miao Miao turned to look at Wei Tiancheng, who nodded slightly. While Han Qian and Wei Tiancheng were choosing clubs, the hot drinks ordered by Ji Jing were delivered. 3 hot drinks and 1 cold drink. Then they ordered a clean tray, put the soft Chinese drinks on the plate, and prepared everything. Then he picked up Han Qian's coat and hung it up. Miao Miao stared blankly at Ji Jing, who was busy. After Wei Tiancheng picked the club, he slapped Miao Miao's buttocks and smiled. "Road. What are you looking at?" Miao Miao looked at Ji Jing and said excitedly. "She really looks like a woman from ancient times. If I were a man, I would pursue her at all costs, really. My dear, I like her from the bottom of my heart." Wei Tiancheng relaxed his shoulders and smiled. "But she only has Han Qian in her eyes. Go watch and prepare. Don't let us lose etiquette. Watch the preparation. Don't make it self-defeating. Put away your thoughts. Han Qian will take revenge on you if this woman touches you." "Okay, I'm going to set the ball." Ji Jing didn't understand billiards, so she could only try her best to make Han Qian have fun. Miao Miao knew the rules of billiards very well. She asked Han Qian whether to play snooker or 15 balls. Han Qian chose the latter. Miao Miao was very skilled. Swing ball. Han Qian served and hit the hole, 1 big and 1 small. Then he scored 4 consecutive putts. The 5th ball was too powerful. Number 7 hit the hole and bounced out. Han Qian sighed, put away his club and sat down with Ji Jing. Beside him, Ji Jing handed the cold drink to Han Qian as soon as he sat down. Han Qian said doubtfully while holding the cold drink. "How do you know I want something cold? I've lived with Wen Nuan for 3 years and she doesn't even know. Aunt Ji, do you have nothing to do but study me?" Ji Jing was a little panicked when she guessed her thoughts. She avoided looking at Han Qian. Han Qian smiled, held Ji Jing's nervous hand and watched Wei Tiancheng perform. His skills were really good, and he was serious. He is very handsome when he is young, and his wonderful eyes are intoxicating. Ji Jing lowered her head and looked at Han Qian's hand and whispered. "Niece, please don't lose. I like to watch you play." "Okay, I'll listen to you. If I win 20,000 yuan, I'll buy you clothes." "Good." Ji Jing was gone now, and Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief. Then when Han Qian raised his head, Miao Miao had already started swinging the ball. Han Qian tilted his head and said doubtfully. One shot clear. Wei Tiancheng smiled lightly. It's just luck, it's my turn to tee off. At first, Han Qian thought that Wei Tiancheng didn't know how to play, and even if he could, he wouldn't be very good at it. Shouldn't someone like him be using a stick to hit small stone balls on the lawn? Han Qian stood up and had to be serious. The two played billiards very quickly, and the most they played was only 5 balls per person. Gradually, the boss was attracted to him. He stood in the distance and watched the two handsome guys, one older and one younger, playing. Let's not talk about their skills. The 2 women who came here to accompany me were so beautiful, and they didn't look like vases. The 4 of them were talking and laughing. The words sounded like 1 ball and 10,000 yuan. Evil capitalist. At the end of an hour, Han Qian was leaning on the club and was wearing a slightly rough look. If Wei Tiancheng didn't score the ball, then Han Qian would win a ball and 10,000 yuan. As Han Qian expected, the ball went in, and Han Qian won 10,000 yuan. Qian lost 10,000. Han Qian smiled at Wei Tiancheng. I might not be happy if you want me to win money today. It seems like you are really planning to deal with me. Isn't this the fun thing? Now that you're on the 10th, do you want to settle accounts or keep accounts? Wei Tiancheng smiled. Bookkeeping, I haven't played for a long time, and I have regained some touch. Miao Miao, go and have a rest, boss. Here you play the ball. If you win, you take a commission. Miao Miao was also tired. No one could stand playing with the ball in high heels for an hour. Miao Miao did not sit next to Jijing. When she was in the wooden house, she found that Jijing always kept a distance from other people intentionally or unintentionally. There was a sofa armrest between the 2 of them, and Miao Miao smiled at Jijing. You are so kind to Han Qian. Jijing looked at Han Qian and replied softly. I love him and give him my best, that's all. I heard that Mr. Han has many suitors, and the competition will be cruel. Miao Miao had no ill intentions, and Jijing didn't care. She raised the corners of her mouth slightly and said softly. I love him and don't care if he loves me or not. Purely. Yeah, I'm very satisfied when I see him. I don't expect too much, and I don't want him to have a headache because of me. I like him, and I don't want him to frown. For example, now I don't want him to play, maybe they will promise me not to play anymore, but I won't have fun. Miao Miao looked at Jijing. She didn't know what to say. Her eyes gradually became confused. Can love be so humble? Jijing holds a cold drink in both hands. Han Qian likes cold drinks, but she is reluctant to let Han Qian drink cold drinks. She raises the temperature a little with her hands so that he won't frown when he drinks again. Han Qian is also working hard for Jijing's words. He is no longer in a hurry to take action. He starts to calculate every time he plays, calculating the landing point of his own ball and Wei Tiancheng's ball. Now it is no longer entertainment, but Jijing's. Auntie doesn't want to see him lose. Han Qian scored black 8 and was 1 goal ahead when the phone rang. Lu Guangming called and asked where Han Qian was and if he wanted to prepare clothes for the dinner. He was customizing a suit. Han Qian raised his head and looked out the window and whispered. I'm playing billiards with Director Wei at the turntable in the new area. Do I still need to wear a dress? Just give me clothes that I won't be afraid of when I play, so as not to suffer a loss when I play Lin Zongheng. Wei Tiancheng couldn't help laughing, and Miao Miao looked at Han Qian in astonishment. Should I choose clothes that are convenient for fighting when going to a party? Within half an hour, Lu Guangming came, accompanied by a beautiful mature woman. She was a bit inferior to Jijing and Miao Miao, but she was also very sensible. Lu Guangming took out the clubs and wanted to play 2 shots with Wei Tiancheng. 1 ball and 10,000, the rules remain unchanged. Seeing this, Han Qian could only withdraw from the competition and won 10,000 yuan. Then he stretched out his hand and took Ji Jing to another table and taught Ji Jing how to play table tennis. Ji Jing was held in Han Qian's arms and taught her. Study very seriously, Han Qian said softly. If you can't get in at first, push slowly towards the door. Practice makes perfect. I really like girls who play pool. They are very sassy, handsome, and sexy. After playing for more than 2 hours, Miao Miao went to check out. Lu Guangming lost 30,000 yuan and happily gave the cash. Wei Tiancheng threw 10,000 yuan to Han Qian and smiled at Lu Guangming. Thank you very much, Mr. Lu, for your generous donation. Miao Miao, go and book a table. Let's play with Mr. Liu's 20,000 yuan today, ha 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 ha. Mr. Han, your wish has been in vain. It seems that I don't have to spend money today. Han Qian hugged Ji Jing's waist and leaned against the table with a smile. Don't forget to give the boss a commission, 3,000 yuan. Also, you know what I don't like to eat? Miao Miao gave the boss 3,000, turned around and smiled sweetly at Han Qian. A big seafood eater, Mr. Han. Han Qian waved the club in his hand and cursed with a smile. The heels of high heels will interrupt you. Come on, come on, come on. 3 couples and 6 people left the billiard hall. Lu Guangming's GL8, Wei Tianquan's Mercedes-Benz 600, Han Qian's Maserati Quattroporte, and 3 cars left one after another. The boss with $3,000 in his hand looked at the 3 people leaving and sighed softly. Hey! I feel like I'm quite rich. Why do I look like a beggar in comparison? 3,000, 3,000, so rich. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 348. Dear, I feel that Han Qian is quite a good person, but he is a bit too frivolous. No, it's not frivolous. He just gives people the impression that his temperament is greater than his reason. Miao Miao drove the car, wrinkled her little nose and sat quietly making decisions. Wei Tiancheng, who was smoking with the window open beside him, laughed. Oh, everyone is afraid of him because of his personality. What they are afraid of is also this kind of impulsive temper that does not consider the overall situation. He is a bomb. The gunpowder twist is placed in front of everyone. No one dares to click on it. Don't just think that someone is a good person when they are joking with you, just be honest. Hum hum. Miao Miao wrinkled her nose, looking a little displeased, more like coquettish. Wei Tiancheng sighed softly. What I didn't expect was that calling Ji Jing over would cause such a huge reaction. Who cares, will you accompany me to Lin Men's birthday dinner? If you don't go, I'm not your real wife. I'm asking for trouble. If you go to the dinner, I'll go find a handsome guy. How many should I look for you? Disgusting. In the GL8 car, Lu Guangming was half lying on the passenger seat, scrolling through his cell phone and speaking softly. You will have Han Qian's clothes prepared in a while. It doesn't have to be too expensive, and you don't have to choose the brand deliberately, but it shouldn't be too cheap. According to what he said, just be comfortable. Okay, I get it. Don't try to be clever. Mr. Han has a lot of things to do now and has no time to deal with your superior affairs. You can't compare to Miss G next to Mr. Han, and you can't compare to Miao Miao next to Wei Tiancheng. Just be a vase with peace of mind. If you want to make a flower pot, I will make it happen for you. The woman drives seriously. She has been with Lu Guangming for 5 years. He has always had this attitude towards her. The only change is that the monthly payment has become 6 figures. Lu Guangming is very generous. Of course, among his many mistresses, her performance is the best. In her eyes, Lu Guangming was not a lover, but more like an emperor. His words were imperial edicts, which could make her enjoy glory and wealth, or leave her with nothing. Maserati, Han Qian held the steering wheel with both hands, stepped on the accelerator and caught up with the GL8 in front, opened the window and shouted to Lu Guangming. "Brother Lu, you go first. I'll take Jijing to buy some clothes. I'll also look at the clothes by the way. Just give me a seat where you can eat. It'll be quick." Lu Guangming, who was lying in the passenger seat, raised his hand and made an OK gesture, sighing softly. "It's a pity that you don't even have this chance." Han Qian didn't know what was going on here with Lu Guangming, so he coaxed the accelerator to increase his commission to 80 in an instant, and roared towards Central Street. The ill-gotten gains should be spent quickly. Han Qian didn't know that his actions had attracted a lot of abuse along the way. Pity. The music in the car was very loud. Jijing twisted her soft waist to the rhythm of the music, and Han Qian wore sunglasses. Handsome men, beautiful women, luxury cars. After getting off the car at the old department store, Han Qian took off his sunglasses and looked at the most expensive shopping mall in the city. He took a deep breath and stretched out his hand to Jijing, saying in a deep voice, "Are you ready? This money will not come out until it is spent." Jijing took Han Qian's arm and smiled a little coquettishly. "I've already decided what to buy." Rush. The two people rushed into the department store like childish fools. Jijing took Han Qian to the jewelry area and said that she wanted to buy Han Qian a bracelet. Han Qian wanted to take Jijing to buy a bag. Jijing chose for the first time. Han Qian was surprised when he resisted, and then he happily decided to buy a bracelet, but the maximum was 5,000, and he would not spend any more. Jijing took a fancy to a ring, which cost a little more than 4,000. Jijing motioned to the clerk to take out the ring, then put it on Han Qian's finger, patted it with her palm, and then said seriously, "When you fight with this, they will definitely feel pain. Why don't you buy this?" The clerk was slightly startled. "Did you buy the ring so that it would hurt when you hit someone?" Han Qian sighed helplessly, took off the ring and handed it to the clerk, then pointed at the small bracelet like a charm on the counter. It was gold inlaid with diamonds and was very delicate. He held it in his hand and looked at it for a while, then grabbed Jijing's hand and put the bracelet on her wrist. The next second, Han Qian held Jijing's hand with the bracelet and turned around to leave. "Pay the money. Then go buy a bag. The uncle has the final say on consumption. Big nephew. It's useless to call me anything." After decisively paying the money and leaving, she went to her next destination. In a women's clothing store whose brand Han Qian didn't recognize, Jijing went in and changed into a pair of simple jeans. When she came out, Han Qian quickly stood up and pushed Jijing back to the dressing room. Already tilting his head and wondering, "What are you doing, nephew?" Han Qian pushed Jijing and whispered dissatisfied, "What the hell is this? Are these pants or underpants? If it's summer, you can even see the traces of your underwear. No. You're changing into another set." "Oh." Jijing didn't have any resistance, but Han Qian asked her to change one, so she would change. After that, Jijing changed again and again. Han Qian seemed not satisfied every time, and Jijing didn't seem to have any temper. As long as Han Qian makes suggestions, she will change it. What she didn't know was that Han Qian had wrapped up all the clothes Jijing had changed. In the end, Jijing chose a pair of gray leggings, a black goose velvet gown, a fluffy white cotton padded jacket, and a pair of black deerskin boots. Han Qian's eyes lit up. Jijing originally thought that Huatu was dead, but now she could still dress like this, but if Han Qian liked it, she liked it. Check out and leave. The two of them didn't waste any time. They put their clothes in the trunk. After getting in the car, Han Qian curiously asked Jijing if she was driving today. Jijing whispered that there was something wrong with the car's reversing image and she took it to be repaired. Han Qian didn't ask too much and drove to the place to eat in Miamiating. On a day that was more than 10 degrees below zero, we were eating a meal of goose stewed in an iron pot around a stove. It was steaming inside the house, and the wind was cold and desolate outside. Han Qian and Jijing had just sat down when Gao Xing'ai came over with Sun Yat. While cursing the changeable weather, the two of them got out of the car and it started to rain without warning. Gao Xing'ai frowned. I'm a bit unlucky. It was sunny when you were playing outside, but this time it was my turn to hail and whatnot. Sun Ya smiled and nodded at Jijing. The two of them had equal positions in the company, so it was not surprising that they appeared here at the same time. Han Qian stood up with a smile, filled a bowl of soft stewed noodles and placed it on Jijing. In front of him, he picked up a piece of ribs and put it on a tall plate, and chuckled. Eat a piece of meat to calm down. Are you careful if the hail turns into lightning? You did have a lot of fun this morning, right, Director Wei? Wei Tiancheng chuckled. You have to ask Lao Lu about this. Is it unfair to lose 30,000 yuan when he came to join in the fun? Lu Guangming curled his lips and sneered. It's hard to buy a man who is willing if you have money, so what? If you don't agree, I'll play a few strokes this afternoon. The grown men did not talk about anything serious, and there was nothing serious to talk about. Instead, a few women raised their wine glasses to each other. Seeing this, Han Qian turned his head and glanced at Jijing, who smiled, shook his head, and put down his wine glass. Then he turned around and held Han Qian's left hand with both hands. He looked at Han Qian with a bit of pleading in his eyes, and whispered to him if he could stop drinking. Looking at Jijing's appearance, Han Qian nodded slightly and smiled. If you don't drink, I'll drive when you get back. Women can talk about bags and lipsticks, but they can never do without men. Listening to several women talking about the past, women are more open-minded than men after 3 rounds of drinking. They are also working hard to liven up the atmosphere at the wine table. What's more important is that none of the 4 men drank. Lu Guangming narrowed his eyes at Han Qian and smiled evilly while holding the drinks. Brother Han, that car outside belongs to team leader Cai, right? I heard that team leader Cai loves sports cars and never rents them out. Han Qian spat out the bones in his mouth, pointed at Lu Guangming and cursed with a smile. Why are you such a crooked old man, always keeping an eye on our young people's affairs? Xiahua drove another car back to the province for a meeting. He left this car alone. If you say I want to drink water, I will drink water. You still have a drink. Lu Guangming smiled. If you don't drink, how embarrassing would it be for me to get drunk? Wei Tiancheng pushed up his glasses and curled his lips. It's not like you've been embarrassed once or twice. After saying that, he looked at Han Qian and asked softly and seriously. Master Han, you are very close to the Yamanmen children. Tell us what the Yamanmen children are busy with now? A surprise inspection this week has given me a headache. Team leader Cai returned to the province because of our city. Something. When they talked about business, Lu Guangming also looked at Han Qian. Seeing this, Han Qian took a deep breath, shook his head and smiled bitterly. The old fox Cheng Jin is also on guard against me. I don't know the inside story very well. I only know that now he wants to find a scapegoat and turn the things in my hands into useless waste as soon as possible. I can't possibly tell everything I know. Tell him, it's open. Even if I tell you, I can't find you. If they want to check, just let them check. It's just sanitation and fire protection. We can't do anything about it. Just pay a fine. After saying this, Han Qian drank some water and said softly. As for King Hu, I found a batch of guns with Guan Yun Biao and King Hu not long ago. They were left by Feng Lun. Don't ask me how I found them. Cats have cat paths and rats have mouse paths, it's a secret. I found the guns. Later, Cai King Hu will go back to the province to report this matter and check the source of the gun. I estimate that the person who bought the gun is the person who killed Feng's Haida. While speaking, Han Qian kept his head lowered and looked at the bones on the table, unable to see the faces of several people. Lu Guangming breathed a sigh of relief after hearing this. Since that's the case, I'm relieved. Wei Tiancheng also breathed a sigh of relief. Pay the fine, oops. I almost forgot one thing, Lu Guangming, tell me, why did you sponsor the street sweeper with 500,000 yuan when you have nothing to do? Don't say you are relieved. I asked, and the city I haven't checked Shuncheng. Do you eat alone? Lu Guangming chuckled. You have to ask Master Han about this matter. Han Qian shrugged helplessly. It's too late. There's no point donating money. Whoever shows up at this time will die. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 349. Today seemed destined to be out for fun and relaxation. After dinner, I wandered around the KTV and arrived at Tu Xiao's territory. Tu Xiao was also alarmed and dragged the girl in to wait for the game. Miao Miao didn't like these girls very much and was too embarrassed to let him go. Tu Liadabai was so busy that he asked the waiter to bring all the cups. 200 milliliter goblets filled the table, and there were several cup towers among them. One cup had 100 yuan under it, and the 3-layer cup tower had 1,000 under it. He was playing with the more than $10,000 in his hands. It was not enough. When Miao Miao got up to get the hanging bag, Su Li, the woman next to Lu Guangming, took out 20,000 yuan from the bag and put another one on each cup. The intentions of Miao Miao and Su Li were obvious. Han Qian leaned back on the sofa, pointed at Miao Miao and smiled. Are you free? Miao Miao turned her head and smiled naively. Young Master Han, you don't understand. Why are you so embarrassed to ask for money when we come to sing a song? But we can't sing Overlord's song. If Tu is not short of money, then it's Tuesday. The little sisters belong to the little sisters. The rules are needless to say, you can get as much as you want to drink, and if you can't drink it, it won't be difficult for you, just put down the money. The girls brought by Tu Xiao were eager to try it. At this time, Sun Yat also took out a wad of cash from her bag and put it on the coffee table, squinting and smiling. We ask for songs, and you sing. If you can sing, you will get 1,000. If you can't, just give us gentlemen a toast. Start from the first one until someone can sing. These 3 women. All evil capitalists always have a man who is not short of money. Han Qian turned his head and looked at Ji Jing. She looked at the wine glass on the table in front of her and said softly. If Sister Yang comes, I guess you will go bankrupt. Han Qian smiled and knocked on Ji Jing's forehead and cursed with a smile. How can Sister Yang make such money? Everyone has said it, but you don't mean it. Ji Jing shook her head gently. No, I have no money. Han Qian did not speak, but stretched out 2 fingers to Tu Xiao. Not long after, Guan Degu came back and handed the money to Ji Jing. Ji Jing looked at the 20,000 yuan in his hand and whispered. Han Qian, let's run away, okay. Having said that, Ji Jing will definitely not leave, because now women are having fun, and men want face. Ji Jing has not made things difficult for anyone. There is no waiter, just take care of the drunk girls and the hygiene here. Watching the girls drinking up glass after glass of wine, Miao Miao's face was full of joy. She would become very excited when she saw someone who couldn't drink anymore. She also used money to seduce girls who couldn't drink anymore. Wei Tiancheng kept his eyes closed. Listening to the song, it seems that things like Miao Miao are commonplace. Most of the wine on the table had been drunk, and some girls were carried out by the waiters. There was no force, only temptation. When Han Qian sighed softly, Sun Ya sat next to Han Qian and whispered. "This Miao Miao, are you familiar with Mr. Han?" Han Qian shook his head and said softly. "I've met him a few times, but I can't figure out his personality. I just know that he listens to Wei Tiancheng very much." Sun Ya sighed softly. "This girl doesn't seem as cute as she looks. Judging from her reaction and excitement, she seems to have a sadistic personality. I don't quite understand how a woman with this kind of personality can be a cat next to Wei Tiancheng." While talking, Lu Guangming took a cigarette and sat on the table in front of Han Qian. Ji Jing quickly stood up and made room to sit with Sun Ya. Lu Guangming looked at Miao Miao with a cigarette in his mouth and sneered. "Are Mr. Han and Sister Yaya surprised? This sweet and lovely host on TV, Wei Tianken's little cat Chi Miao Miao is not as honest as you think, a typical sadistic paranoid woman. Today, because young Master Han and Vice President Gao are here, she has restrained herself a lot." Both Han Qian and Sun Ya were a little confused. Could it be a dual personality? Lu Guangming smiled and said nothing. His woman Su Li came over to light cigarettes for Han Qian and Lu Guangming and whispered. "Chi Miao Miao used to be an organizer in a certain circle. I've heard people say that public figures like her need to strictly adhere to professional ethics. She must maintain her own image in both work and life. As a result, there will be huge pressure in the heart and paranoid thoughts will arise. Director Lu is right, he has restrained himself a lot today." Sun Ya asked with a frown. "Could it be that Director Wei?" Lu Guangming shook his head and said softly. "He is normal. Chi Miao Miao really likes Wei Tiancheng. For this man, she is willing to abandon everything about herself, obsessive obsession, and losing herself. Brother Han, have you decided about Lin Men's dinner? Do you have to go? Today Wei Tianken's purpose is to invite you over." Han Qian nodded, and Lu Guangming had already stood up and walked towards Wei Tiancheng. After playing in the KTV for more than 2 hours, everyone was a little tired. Miao Miao, who was still not satisfied, suggested that they go to the bar to dance. Han Qian really couldn't bear it anymore. He raised his hands in surrender and ran out of the KTV with Ji Jing. Miao Miao sat next to Wei Tiancheng with a bit of dissatisfaction, but before she could speak, Wei Tiancheng took the lead. "Don't overdo it." With one word, all the dissatisfaction in Miao Miao's heart disappeared, and she hugged Wei Tianken's arm and acted coquettishly. "It's already 7 o'clock in the evening." Han Qian asked Ji Jing if she was hungry, and Ji Jing nodded vigorously. The two people with difficulty in making choices ran around the city for more than half a circle, and finally walked into a barbecue shed that was wrapped in plastic sheets. The last time Ji Jing I took Han Qian all over the city just to find something Han Qian liked to eat. Today Han Qian also took Ji Jing for a walk around the city. Han Qian ordered 2 small bottles of soju, and Ji Jing took the scissors to grill the meat. Han Qian didn't even touch his chopsticks. As long as he looked where he looked, Ji Jing knew what Han Qian wanted to eat, and served it to Han Qian tenderly. Qian's mouth, Han Qian gradually became dissatisfied and frowned. "Why don't you eat?" Ji Jing narrowed her eyes and smiled. "Seeing you eat makes me full." "Nonsense, according to what you said, when we get hungry one day, we can go to the beach to drink the northwest wind and save money." "I don't mind." "Aunt Ji, you should eat some yourself. Didn't you say you like this Korean style in the car just now? It's okay if you don't eat it. Eat it. Eat it. It's so exciting." Under Han Qian's pressure, Ji Jing finally remembered herself. After having enough wine and food, Ji Jing checked out and left. Han Qian stopped a taxi to take Ji Jing home. The two of them didn't say anything along the way. In Jing's neighborhood, Han Qian also got out of the car with Ji Jing. In front of the community, Han Qian once again told Ji Jing not to be stupid in the future, and not to run over stupidly after receiving a phone call. Ji Jing opened her arms. "Big nephew, give me a hug." Han Qian smiled and shook his head. "It's quite cold. Go back quickly. I'll go to the company on Monday to hug you." Ji Jing was not unhappy because of the rejection. She nodded obediently and turned towards the door of the community. After walking more than 10 steps, Han Qian suddenly shouted, "Aunt Ji, won't it sink?" Ji Jing was stunned for a moment, then lowered her head to look at the fullness on her chest, turned around and smiled at Han Qian with narrowed eyes. "Curious? Satisfy you. Next time, next time." Han Qian was scared. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 350. Opening the door and getting in the car, Han Qian did the last thing he should do, but he couldn't leave Cai Qinghu's car here. At the same time, Han Qian was also going to take a small road to go home, but he still had to pass through a section of avenue, and the car stopped at the intersection. Han Qian opened the car window and lit a cigarette. Then he discovered a very coincidental thing. A black Mercedes-Benz sports car was parked side by side with a Maserati. This car looked familiar to Han Qian. Then he saw the passenger window rolled down and saw the people in the car. Han Qian curled his lips and sneered. "Han Qian, it's not that enemies don't get together." He was driving Cai Qinghu's car to hook up with other girls. "If Wen Nuan finds out, what do you think your fate will be?" Han Qian ignored him and continued to smoke. Lin Zongheng turned his head to look at Han Qian and sarcastically said again, "You're reluctant to let go when you marry into a rich family, aren't you? You lick the warmth like a dog, don't you feel ashamed?" Han Qian threw away the cigarette butt, looked at Lin Zongheng from the corner of his eye, and smiled. "It feels so good to sleep with the warmth in your arms, and your body feels so soft. Are you so envious of me? If you are being polite to Lin Zongheng and you are not pretending, then you are a complete waste." Lin Zongheng frowned and squinted at Han Qian, saying with disgust, "You are so incompetent. Are you talking to me about quality? Why don't you talk about whether turtles are raised in fresh water or sea water? Lin Zongheng, you are very drunk. Are you drunk? Are you driving drunk?" After saying that, Han Qian opened the car door and shouted at the traffic policeman in the distance. Lin Zongheng's expression changed and he gritted his teeth and said angrily, "Han Qian, are you stupid? You just finished drinking. Lin Zongheng, are you following me? You fart, you have two horns. Han Qian, don't act like you're sick. No matter what your connection is, you can't get away with driving under the influence now, Han Qian. Did I draft it? The traffic police are here." Han Qian was also confused. He had forgotten that he was also drinking. Han Qian decisively got into the car to look for water. Then the traffic police saw the owner of the Maserati and the Mercedes-Benz standing outside the car gargling. "Do you need to ask?" Then I saw two cars pulled to the side of the road by the traffic police. Han Qian and Lin Zongheng were standing on the side of the road blowing alcohol testers. Fortunately, neither of them was over 100. The traffic police also knew these two people and did not dare to take it lightly. I went to punish him, but I had no choice but to call the headquarters. Finally, the captain of the traffic police brigade came. Han Qian had actually seen this guy twice, but he didn't know his name. "Hey, Han Qian, Lin Zongheng, did you two drink together?" Lin Zongheng and Han Qian looked at each other, then turned their heads to the other side, and the former spat in disdain. "I don't drink with idiots." Han Qian nodded vigorously after hearing this. Yes, you idiot won't drink with me." After saying this, Lin Zongheng turned his head and said angrily, "You were damn drunk, and then you reported me for drunk driving? How can you punish me? The worst case is that the car will be towed away. I don't want it anymore. Han Qian, let me see how you explain to Cai King Hu. Han Qian frowned and looked at Lin Zongheng and said angrily. Didn't I forget that I drink too? Are you trying to beat your grandma's whistle? After saying that, Lin Zongheng turned around, put his foot on Han Qian's stomach, and said coldly. Keep your mouth clean, I've wanted to hit you for a long time. Han Qian patted the mud marks on his clothes, and then suddenly pounced on Lin Zongheng. The two drunk driving guys instantly turned into a fight. Han Qian underestimated Lin Zongheng, and Lin Zongheng also underestimated Han Qian. 9:35 p.m. Han Qian and Lin Zongheng appeared at the police station. They both made a tacit agreement not to call to find a relationship. They spent their time here today. The policeman looked at the two people with bruises on their faces and sighed helplessly while holding the judgment book. Drunk driving, your driver's license will be detained for 6 months, and you will be fined 1,000 yuan. If you are held responsible for a street fight, you will both be detained. Should we continue to hold you accountable, or should we stop here? Lin Zongheng crossed his legs and said coldly. Is it that simple to drive under the influence? Not to impound the car. Han Qian frowned and turned around to curse. You are sick. Han Qian, do you still want to be beaten? Try. The two of them were eager to try and gear up, but the police couldn't stand it anymore. They went in and squatted for 15 days as soon as they started doing it. They were honest. When they left the house, they took out their mobile phones and asked someone to drive over. Han Qian looked at his mobile phone and finally called Sul Yang. Sul Yang heard that Han Qian was at the police station and needed to be picked up, so he immediately put down his phone. He rushed out of the house in his pajamas and took the swing stick from the shoe cabinet when he went out. Lin Zongheng's assistant came to pick him up and smiled lightly at Han Qian before leaving. Han Qian, please don't die. Let's play slowly. I don't want the old shoes you wore, haha. After saying that, Han Qian bent down to pick up the bricks at the door of the police station. Lin Zongheng turned around and ran away without dragging his feet. While Han Qian smoked 2 cigarettes, Sul Yang came over in a taxi and looked at Han Qian with a bruised nose and swollen face. Sul Yang frowned and said in a low voice. Where are they? Call back, I'll take the guy with me. As soon as he finished speaking, he had already revealed the stick. Sul Yang didn't ask who it was or why, he just said 2 simple sentences. Where are the people? Call back. Before Han Qian could speak, the policeman standing at the door started shouting angrily. You two, be honest, put your things away, and see where this place is. Harry, if you want to go in and stay for a few days, just say so. Sul Yang frowned. Han Qian threw the cigarette and car keys to Sul Yang, turned around and frowned. We haven't broken any laws now, and we haven't hit anyone. Since you can sell the sticks, we won't break the law if we buy them. Don't show off to me here with my buddy. Liang let's go. The two took a taxi to the traffic police station to pick up the car. When Sul Yang stood motionless in front of the Maserati, Han Qian was confused and tilted his head and asked. What's wrong? This thing can't be turned on. Sul Yang shook his head gently and sighed softly. Yeah, I can drive it, but I drank. Han Qian blinked his eyes in confusion, and then squatted on the ground weakly, holding his head in his hands. The two of them couldn't squat in the traffic police team all night, right? Moreover, Lin Zongheng drove away. Han Qian really didn't want to let the traffic police think that he was worse than Lin Zongheng. After a long time, Han Qian raised his head and said feebly. I don't want to call Guan Yun Biao, I can't talk about our relationship with him, so I just call him out in the middle of the night, right? Your relationship with me is different from my relationship with him. Just wait while I make a call. Han Qian took out his Nokia, and the call was quickly connected. Han Qian said softly. Well, Kexan, have you drank? Drink. I just finished my work and drank some to get ready for bed. Then you rest, bye. Kxian also drank, and Han Qian was also worried about one thing, whether he could fit into Martha's cab with his size. Han Qian had no choice. When he was about to call Guandegu, Suliang had already taken out he picked up the phone and said loudly. Big money, Han Qian and I are in the traffic police team. We drank and the car can't be driven back. Come over and help us. Han Qian stood up and looked at Suliang helplessly, sighing. Why are you calling De Qian? She's a girl. Director Qian has a royal driver. You've been smart since you were little. Go away, who did you fight with again? How are you going to get back? After hearing Suliang's question, Han Qian touched the injury at the corner of his mouth and said softly. I met Lin Zongheng on the street. We had some personal grudges. After a few arguments, we started fighting, but we didn't get any advantage. You said this thing is interesting. I used to feel that Taekwondo, Jeet Kune Do and so on were all boring. It's a bullshit, and it's a bit difficult to deal with it now. Suliang threw a cigarette to Han Qian and said calmly. That CEO of Changxiang? Prepare a sack. We shouldn't suffer too much. Forget it, he didn't take advantage. He's also bruised and swollen. I'm thinking about how to explain to Nuan when I get home. This can't help you. Can you call me first before you fight next time? Where did you get the whole Maserati? Can you make me a wedding car when I get married? I will get you a better one when you get married. Let me plan your wedding? How about it? Mother-in-law is very satisfied with you. Hee, it's okay. My mother-in-law is pretty good, but my father-in-law is not very capable. In fact, Li and I have already received the certificate, behead first and report later. The news was like thunder. Han Qian slapped the carport, and then began to fumble around on his body. He couldn't find anything that could be used as a wedding gift for Suliang, so he sighed helplessly. I will plan your wedding, and all the expenses will be mine. Can I treat it as a gift for you? That's a good feeling. Suliang was not polite to Han Qian, and Han Qian didn't feel anything unnatural. Suliang had no ability, and his feelings for Han Qian were very simple. If you treat me, Suliang, as a human being, then I will do my best to be good to you. Messy things can't help you, then help you fight, no matter who you fight. Suliang thinks very low of himself, but there is one thing that Han Qian will never forget. That's what the two of them said in front of the company in the heavy rain when they returned from the internet cafe that day. If it hadn't been for Suliang's adventure, Qian Ling would never have known about Han Qian. Maybe Qian Wan would have known about him, and neither would Qian Wan. Treat Han Qian as his brother. Han Qian's benefit from this matter cannot be calculated in terms of money, but Suliang never once said that he had credit for this matter. Han Qian, who never said that it was all his own plan, may have forgotten that if Suliang goes strive for it, he now has a house and a car, and he won't have the headache of getting married in a house. After smoking, Suliang scratched his head at Han Qian, then lowered his head and whispered. Han Qian, there's something I need to tell you. Han Qian, who was stunned, came back to his senses and tilted his head. You say? The watch you gave me was taken away by my father-in-law. Oh, I'll get it together for you tomorrow. More than 50,000 yuan is a bit cheaper. While talking, Qian Wan ran over jumping. Brother Liang Brother Qian good evening. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 351. After getting in the car, Qianwan began to complain about Maserati's shortcomings. Brother Qian'er, I really don't know why you like Masha. I have seen all the sports cars, but I just don't like Masha. The car's skin is thin, the interior is not good looking, and the sound wave is relatively noisy. Anyway, I don't like this one. The car costs 15.6 million yuan, and the logo on the car is pretty good. It's a scumbag man's car. Huh. Brother Qian'er, what's wrong with you? Are you fighting again? It fell. This car was temporarily placed with me by someone else. Oh, Brother Liang, you are not at home with your wife, why are you out here wandering around? Look at the smell of alcohol on both of you, can't you smell it? Hey man, it's too troublesome, I'm not going to fall in love. The one from the public relations department Chuashuo invited me to dinner, but after I ordered the food, he made excuses and ran away, poor me. Qianwan and her two eldest brothers complained about what happened in the past few days. Han Qian and Suliang listened carefully and sent Suliang home first. Qianwan continued to watch the car and see Han Qian off. When they arrived at the Imperial City Garden, Han Qian and Qianwan got out of the car at the same time. Han Qian motioned to Qianwan to wait first and sighed softly. Brother Liang has received the certificate, but the wedding has not yet been held. How much do you think is appropriate for the two of us? Qianwan looked at Han Qian with a confused expression and said confused. What? Got the certificate? Is he afraid that Li will run away? How about 88888? Or 66666? Han Qian felt a heavy blow to his heart and gritted his teeth. Can you please consider me? Qianwan waved her hand indifferently. I'll just make up for your share. Didn't you give Suliang a watch? I'll go look at the diamond ring tomorrow. You two are my brothers. Brother Liang gets married once in his life, so you have to pay attention. As for your second marriage, I will not follow the etiquette. Is what you said human talk? Brother Qian, my aunt calculated something for you, saying that you might be in a bloody disaster recently, and spent a lot of money to figure it out, so be careful. I hope I get better. Bye bye. Qianwan ran away. It was already late at night. He dragged his tired body upstairs. When he walked up to the second floor, he found that Nuan had already fallen asleep. He said softly that he was back. Nuan hummed like he was dreaming and continued. Sleep. Han Qian was also a little tired. He was too lazy to wash his face and take a shower. He took off his clothes and lay down to sleep. Tomorrow was the weekend, so he could sleep in. At 5 o'clock in the morning, Nuan got up from the bed and tiptoed out of the door in his pajamas. Through the crack in the door, he saw that Han Qian was still sleeping soundly. Nuan went downstairs, took out an oven from the guest room, walked into the kitchen, and closed it. Kitchen sliding door. She is about to start using her fists and prepare for a chemical experiment. If it succeeds, a new poison will appear in the world. It's a pity that Nuan never thinks so. She is full of confidence in herself. When Nuan wore glasses and held a recipe in his left hand, there was a basin in front of him with some flour and eggs in it, and he spoke plausibly. Stir the flour and cocoa powder together, well, it's done. Then separate the egg whites and yolks and tie the film. What is this? When Nuan put down the recipe, took an egg and broke it into a bowl, then she stretched out her hand to grab the yolk. Broken. Pour it into a large bowl and try it again. This time when Nuan learned smartly. He first cracked the eggs into his hands, and then went to find the frenulum film. He accidentally used too much force, and the egg white and light yellow were mixed together again. Nuan looked at the egg liquid in the bowl and took a deep breath. Continue. She dropped half a load of eggs, but none of them succeeded. Anger appeared in Wen Nuan's eyes. Now she wants to sentence these eggs to death, and she also wants to strangle the guy sleeping on the second floor to death. If it weren't for you, my sister would be there, suffering in the kitchen to make cakes for you. Nuan Nuan closed her eyes and took a deep breath, comforting herself softly. Can't be angry, can't be angry, I like him, he is my favorite, I am his uncle, why do I like him? Incompetent and furious for a while, Wen Nuan continued to work on the eggs. This time she thought of a way. Difficulty in cooking does not mean that her sister is a fool. She used a mineral water bottle to suck the egg yolk. Nuan Wen successfully took away the egg yolk, and used a magnifying glass, and after using tweezers to remove the frenulum membrane inside, she clenched her fists and began to praise herself in her heart. Warm, you are the best. Then Wen Nuan skipped all the steps that she couldn't understand, and looked at the description in the recipe, saying that sugar must be added. Granulated sugar. At this point, Nuan Nuan is happy. Love, it must be sweet. Since it is sweet, you must add more sugar, and then the warmth failed. Looking at the messy kitchen, Wen Nuan clenched his fists to cheer himself up. Warm, you can still do it. Then she took out a bunch of eggs from the cupboard. She had already prepared them. Wen Nuan did the step that she liked to add sugar. Thinking of it, she felt it was very sweet, so she wanted to add an extra spoonful of sugar. As a result, before the cake was put into the oven, the entire tray fell to the ground. Nuan Nuan closed his eyes and took a deep breath, then slapped his head with a handful of flour. Warm, you should be able to do it. 9 o'clock. When Han Qian was sleeping soundly, there was a muffled sound from downstairs, followed by a warm and unusual laughter. Han Qian opened his eyes and shuddered, and then ran downstairs in his underwear. When he opened the sliding door of the kitchen and saw the snowman holding a chocolate cake in his hand, crying and laughing at the same time, Han Qian was stunned and wondered. What are you doing? Nuan Nuan turned his head and looked at Han Qian with a naive smile. I made a cake for you, eh? Han Qian, what's wrong with your face? Han Qian looked at the cake held in Nuan Nuan's hand. It looked really good. He felt a little moved in his heart, but more of a fear. Can this be eaten? He took the cake and put it on the dining table. Then he took Wen Wen's hand and dragged her into the bathroom. He carefully washed the girl's hands and hair. Wen Wen bent down obediently, with a little pride in her heart. She made the cake. Han Qian washed her hair. As a couple. It's mutual, it should be, right? When Wen Nuan went to change clothes, she told Han Qian not to eat secretly. Han Qian really didn't dare to eat. Looking at the devastated kitchen, his heart ached. It seemed that he couldn't rest today. When Wen Wen came downstairs, she was very proud. She took a photo of the cake and posted it to the group to show off the fruits of her labor. Han Qian relaxed his guard when he looked at the exquisite cakes. They were all for eating and should not be poisonous. When Han Qian took the first bite, he frowned, raised his head to look at Wen Nuan, and said softly. You threw the candy cellar into the oven to refine it. Nuan Nuan, who was addicted to success, turned his head, then took Han Qian's spoon and took a bite of the cake. Sweet. Too sweet. The sweetness in the throat is so sweet that it feels bitter. Wen Nuan stood up and went to the bathroom to spit out the cake in his mouth. He sat next to Han Qian with an unkind expression, then stepped on Han Qian's instep and said aggrievedly. You can't lie to me. I've been busy for 4.5 hours, and you still said that I killed the candy seller, Han Qian. I don't like you anymore, because I find that if two people are together, it will be too sweet. Loud voice. Han Qian took a breath and frowned angrily. I didn't say it wasn't delicious, did I? Then you eat them all. You know I don't like sweets. Han Qian, you don't like me anymore. Can you put aside your evil ideas first? Before Han Qian could finish his words, there was a roar in the kitchen, and a burst of black smoke came out of the kitchen. Wen Nuan was frightened and got into Han Qiandu's arms. Han Qian comforted Wen Nuan and closed his eyes. He wanted to cry, but he still can't. I don't know what happened in the kitchen, but one thing is certain. The kitchen exploded. Going to buy new pots and pans. Han Qian hugged warmth and said softly. Be good, don't be afraid anymore. If you dare to step into the kitchen again, I will beat you to death. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, A Huan. Chapter 352. Paramela drove to the old area. Many things in the kitchen were no longer usable. To be precise, the kitchen was no longer usable. When Han Qian went out, he told the landlady that he would pay for it no matter how much money he had. Can he find a craftsman? The kitchen was restored in one day, no matter how much it cost. The landlady asked what happened, and Han Qian covered his face and said embarrassedly that the microwave had exploded. The fact is that the microwave exploded. Wen Nuan had just bought a microwave oven that had not been used for more than a day and was laid off. He had planned to take a day off and had no choice but to go out and buy new pots and pans. Han Qian was pushing the cart, and Nuan Wen was following beside him, lowering his head and talking. Vocal channel. I also wanted to make you a cake. I didn't expect things to turn out like this. Did you really fall on your face? Do you think I'm stupid? Han Qian sighed softly, picked out the pots and pans, and said helplessly. This is not the first time that this kind of thing has happened in the kitchen. I have to tell you solemnly, Nuan. The kitchen is a kitchen and the laboratory is a laboratory. I know you want to give me a surprise, but I can't say it's because of you. I don't blame you for giving me a surprise. Han Qian, who did you fight with again? Buy a pressure cooker? Don't you like to eat soft stewed chicken? Who is so harsh? Do you think this bowl looks good? The nonsensical chat started again. It wasn't the first time anyway, and I was used to it. After loading the things into the trunk, Wen Nuan once again pushed Han Qian to the passenger seat. After getting in the car, she started to complain about Maserati's shortcomings. Exactly what Qianwan said. When driving home, the workers had already started cleaning the kitchen. In the words of the workers, it was very common for microwave ovens to explode. Han Qian nodded feebly and told the workers that it was best to finish it today and to clean it up even if they worked overtime. You can get more wages. There was a ding in the house. At noon, the workers came to report that it would take 2 days anyway. The cabinets had been deformed in many places and the wall tiles had cracks. It would definitely not be completed in one day. If we talk about repairing the cabinets and wall tiles, it would take 2 days. The workers paid a total of 2,000 yuan to keep the place clean and tidy. Han Qian still wanted to negotiate the price, but Wen Nuan seemed a little irritated. He threw out 1,000 deposits and took Han Qian away. On the way to his mother-in-law's home, Wen Nuan drove and whispered. You'll be more cooperative in a moment, and I'll get the key to my old house and go back to live there. Han Qian held his head with one hand, closed his eyes and whispered softly. Then you honestly confess that it was you who blew up the kitchen? Look at my face. My mother will definitely ask me when I get home. What should I say? If not, you can go and stay at Sci-fi for a day, and I'll go to Kexin. Ah! Nuan sneered, looked ahead and sneered. Go to Kxin's place? I'm afraid you want to drive me away to find Yan Qingqing, right? Now that your little secretary has left, are you going to drive me away? Han Qian, I suspect that you put a bomb in my oven, go but that's right. I'll send you there now. Maserati turned around and headed to the bar on the pedestrian street. Han Qian whispered to call Kexin to ask if he had woken up. As soon as the call was dialed, Nuan took it away. Unfortunately, The call was not connected. Han Qian really didn't want to go to Kexin. Stay there, this little fat guy can make a lot of noise with his snoring. Cai Kinghu is not here recently, so he is thinking of staying in a hotel for a day. I really can't go to my mother-in-law's place. It's weird that my mother-in-law doesn't ask about this one after another. But Xian didn't answer. Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief, but before he could finish relaxing, the phone rang. Han Qian reached out to pick up the phone. Wen Nuan slapped Han Qian's paw, glared at Han Qian fiercely, and then picked up the phone to answer the call. After talking on the phone, Kexin shouted in a daze on the other end of the phone. "My big brother, can you not call me at this time?" When Wen Nuan spoke, Han Qian turned his head with horror on his face. He placed his mobile phone on Wen Wen's lap. He held the steering wheel with both hands and smiled in the spring breeze. "Kexin, I'm your sister-in-law. I haven't seen you since the last time I saw you in the bar. How are you doing lately? Don't sleep when you wake up. My sister-in-law will treat you to a big dinner, okay?" Um. There are all question marks on Han Qian's head. Wen Wen's personality is very powerful at home, but she is a coward outside. Moreover, she used to dislike Han Qian's little brothers, and even said she hated them. In Wen Wen's words, they liked them too much. She felt comfortable, especially for Kexin, who she disliked very much. "What's going on today?" Seeing the lively chat between Nuan and Kxian, Han Qian felt that Nuan was their eldest sister and he was the eldest brother-in-law. After hanging up the phone, Nuan put away her smile when she looked at Han Qian and said coldly, "If Kexin says you don't like living with him in a while, Xiao Han Qian, you will be finished, you know." After saying this, the car turned around again. This time, Han Qian was confused and frowned. "Why did you turn around? Go back and change the car. This old car can only seat 2 people. And Kexin is too fat." When Nuan actually took Kxian out for a big dinner, and the 2 sisters hit it off immediately. "Eat seafood. It seems that except for sour food, there is nothing Kxian doesn't like to eat." The first thing the 2 sisters did after getting in the car was to research where to eat. They told Kxian warmly and boldly to just choose a place. "My sister-in-law is treating me today, and Kxian is so naive." Smiled. "Sister-in-law, why don't we go to the beach to eat? It's a bit expensive, but it's fresh. Walk." When Nuan stepped on the accelerator and headed straight to the beach. As for Han Qian, in Kexin's words, he didn't have any opinions. He was just drinking the Northwest wine to stay alive. The buddies who grew up together were not so polite to each other. When the 2 idiots drove the car to the beach, the 2 of them, dumbfounded, Han Qian sat in the passenger seat and gloated and laughed. 2 idiots with a combined IQ of less than 100. "Is there your sister's seafood on the beach in the middle of winter? Come on, you 2 go down and drink some Northwest wind." Nuan closed his eyes and sighed, sighing. "Kexin, your eldest brother beat me this morning. He refused to eat the chocolate cake I made for him. He also said that I had refined the candy cellar. My sister-in-law is feeling miserable. She has no older brother or younger brother to support her." Han Qian's whisper stopped suddenly, and then he opened his eyes and said angrily, Nuan, please stop talking nonsense. When did I hit you?" As soon as he finished speaking, the passenger door was opened. Kxian, who weighed more than 260 kilograms, dragged Han Qian, who weighed 134 kilograms, like a chicken, out of the car by his collar, and then resisted. "Walk towards the sea on your shoulders, walking as you go." "Sister, can I throw it into the sea for my eldest brother-in-law?" Nuan stood on the steps, tightened her clothes, smiled and said one word. "Good." Kxian carried Han Qian to the beach. Han Qian panicked and patted Kxian's belly and said urgently. Dunner, you are my biological brother, you can't change sides, Liang. What are you calling for? How can I really throw it away for you? Brother, why are you arguing with your sister-in-law when you have nothing to do? My sister-in-law has a good background, looks good, is capable, and is under great pressure. Why don't you just let her go? How about our brothers? Everyone is used to your bad habits, why can't you give in to others? If she wants to make cakes, she can make cakes. Will she die or go crazy if she eats a piece? When you were a kid, the beans you baked were not even cooked. Why didn't your second brother still do them? Did you eat? Then you had diarrhea all night, what happened? Someone said nothing to you. No. That's okay. I don't know how your relationship with your sister-in-law is now. I feel it's better than before. I didn't tell them about your divorce. I didn't consider the divorce because of my sister-in-law's intentions. Take it seriously, just find a chance to remarry. Now tell me what's wrong with my sister-in-law. Did another woman hook up with you, and then you started to be mean and refused without understanding? Get out. Han Qian felt a little guilty because his little brother knew him too well.